Top 5 secret Russian intelligence hidden to world no one know. 5. Zaslon, often described as an SVR clandestine strike infiltration unit. Overview and origin. Zaslon, Russian barrier or screen, appears in investigative reporting and specialized open source accounts as a covert unit associated with the SVR, Russia's foreign intelligence service. Open source timelines place its creation in the late 1990s. Reports often reference 1997-1998 and attribute it to a 7th department or a specialized section inside the SVR's protective operations, elements that handles clandestine, deniable missions abroad. These claims derive from media reports, defense commentary, and a small number of investigative write-ups rather than formal Russian acknowledgement. Likely mission set. Analysts who cite Zaslon describe it as combining capabilities often associated with illegals and paramilitary special operations, e.g., covert infiltration, sabotage, targeted clandestine actions overseas, and supporting proxy or deniable operations that the state does not want attributed to official military channels. Given the SVR's foreign-focused mandate, Zaslon's activities, as reported, would emphasize operations outside Russia. Evidence is circumstantial and typically comes from investigative journalists and defectors, testimonies, public footprint, and notable mentions. Zaslon is rarely named in official documents. Most public references come from investigative sites and specialist outlets that synthesize leaked or historical material. Because the unit's raison d'etre is deniability and secrecy, there are no widely accepted lists of operations publicly attributed to it in the same way state units sometimes are. That opacity itself is an identifying feature in open source analysis. Uncertainties and caveats. Open source evidence about Zaslon is limited, sometimes contradictory, and dependent on secondary reporting. Analysts therefore treat claims about Zaslon as plausible but not fully corroborated. Many references are inferential, linking personnel, departmental structures, and reported incidents, rather than documentary. 4. GRU Unit 2955, GRU formation widely implicated in deniable sabotage, assassination and destabilization. Formation and purpose. Unit 29155 is an element of Russia's main intelligence Directorate, GRU. Western intelligence agencies and investigative journalists have linked the unit to clandestine foreign operations that include sabotage, political destabilization, covert assassinations or attempted assassinations, and other non-conventional activities directed at Europe and neighboring states. Its existence in Western reporting has been emphasized since the 2010s as investigators tied a pattern of incidents to a relatively small grouping of GRU operatives, capabilities and methods, high level. Public reporting and indictments indicate Unit 29155 combines classic clandestine tradecraft with modern cyber capabilities, covert paramilitary operations, surveillance and target preparation, and cyber intrusions or destructive malware when strategic benefit accrues. U.S. and allied indictments and advisories in recent years explicitly tie some malware campaigns and cyber intrusions to GRU operatives associated with this unit. These are high-level capability descriptions drawn from official charges and government cybersecurity advisories. Notable alleged operations, journalistic investigations, and government attributions have linked Unit 29155 or operatives associated with it to a number of incidents across Europe. Suspected involvement in the Salisbury poisoning 2018 has repeatedly been reported in the press. Investigative identifications of named individuals overlap with other incidents, explosions at ammunition depots in Eastern Europe, and plotting or attempts to interfere in political processes or stage destabilizing actions. International indictments and coordinated law enforcement actions in 2023-2024 reinforced the public case that a GRU cell has run a coordinated sabotage or cyber campaign. Accountability, evidence, and disputes. Much of what is reported about Unit 29155 relies on multi-party criminal indictments, intelligence assessments published by Western agencies, and investigative journalism. Russia routinely denies such allegations. Independent confirmation of many operational attributions is challenging because states withhold classified evidence. Nevertheless, repeated international coordination, indictments, sanctions advisories has strengthened the public-facing attribution to Unit 29155 in many Western capitals. Analytic caution. Attribution in clandestine operations can be messy. While the pattern of behaviors has been attributed to Unit 29155, the precise command relationships, Ordering chain and internal structure remain, classified or inferred from leaked or legal evidence. Public reporting is still the best available picture, but not an exhaustive one. 3. Vympel, FSB Directorate V. Origins and institutional home. Vympel, also referred to as Directorate V or Spetsgrupa V, was formed in the late Cold War era within the KGB and later became an elite unit of the FSB after the Soviet Union's dissolution. Historically presented as a sibling to Alpha Group, Vympel's original doctrine included deep penetration reconnaissance, sabotage behind enemy lines, protection of strategic assets, and operations requiring specialized covert skills. Over decades it has been reorganized several times and absorbed into the FSB's Special Purpose Center. Roles and typical missions. Open sourcing describes Vympel as a unit trained for counterterrorism, hostage rescue, executive protection of critical national infrastructure, direct action, and clandestine operations when necessary. During the 1990s and 2000s, Vympel personnel were reported to have taken part in Chechen counterinsurgency operations, high-profile domestic hostage events, and selected foreign or deniable missions tied to Russia's security objectives. Notable public incidents. Vympel has appeared in records or reporting about several major Russian incidents, from the storming of the Russian White House during the 1993 constitutional crisis through operations in Chechnya and follow-on involvement in some mass hostage situations. Investigative work in court. Documents in a few countries have also suggested links between former members and alleged targeted killings abroad, though these accounts are piecemeal and contested. Structure and training. What is public? The unit's size and internal structure are classified. Open accounts emphasize a rigorous selection pipeline, cross-training with other Spetsnaz elements, and advanced instruction in close-quarters combat, explosives, infiltration, parachuting, and maritime techniques. Because the FSB's Special Purpose Center formally houses both Alpha and Vympel-type capabilities, these units are often described collectively when analysts discuss Russia's domestic special operations capacity. Limitations in the record. As with other elite intelligence-linked units, government secrecy, disinformation, and the passage of time make it difficult to separate confirmed history from lore. Good open-source work cross-references memoirs, declassified materials, court files, and investigative reporting to build a cautious picture. Definitive internal organizational details remain out of the public domain. 2. KSSO, Russia's Special Operations Forces, Special Operations Command, Strategic SOF. What KSSO denotes. KSSO, sometimes referenced in English sources as the Russian Special Operations Forces or a Special Operations Command, represents a post-Soviet attempt to create a modern, joint special operations capability within the armed forces that can plan and conduct strategic, expeditionary and unconventional warfare missions in coordination with the general staff. It reflects doctrinal changes to mirror some Western SOF structures, focusing on strategic tasks beyond conventional Spetsnaz roles. Mission profile. Where conventional Spetsnaz historically did tactical raids and localized special operations, the KSSO is described in open literature as intended for higher-level, strategic direct action, seizing key objectives in the early phases of intervention, enabling larger campaigns through unconventional means, and executing politically sensitive missions that require integrated planning across services. Public accounts emphasize its role in rapid cross-domain operations rather than low-profile foreign intelligence work, which would more typically be an SVR-GRU task. Public operations and reporting. Reporting on KSSO is less dramatic in the public record than reporting on GRU or FSB covert actions. Much of what is known comes from Russian military publications, analyst write-ups, and equipment use. Patterns in conflicts where Russia deploys combined arms and special forces elements. In the conflicts of the 2010s and 2020s, Russian SOF units, collectively, have been visible in operations that required rapid seizure, direct action or special reconnaissance, which analysts associate with KSSO-type commands. Organizational questions. KSSO's internal command relationships, force size, and exact remit are not publicly detailed. It appears to be a military, rather than FSB foreign intelligence formation, designed to operate in theater with regular forces and to undertake missions where conventional and unconventional elements meet. Public accounts emphasize the military, expeditionary nature of KSSO compared to the intelligence services. More clandestine formations. 1. Alpha Group, Spetsgrupa A, FSB Directorate A. Origins and enduring role. Alpha Group, Spetsgrupa A, is one of the better documented elite Russian units formed under the KGB in 1974 and later integrated under the FSB. Its public profile is higher because of repeated deployments to respond to high-profile terrorist hostage incidents inside Russia. Alpha's remit is counterterrorism, hostage rescue, executive protection, and sensitive direct actions, often those that the state considers immediate threats to domestic security. High-profile deployments and controversies. Alpha Group has been involved in many of Russia's most notorious mass hostage crises and counterterrorism operations. Instances reported in open sources include Budyonovsk, mid-1990s, Kizlyar Pervomaiskoye, the Moscow Theater hostage crisis, 2002, and the Zaslon school siege, 2004. Some of these operations produced heavy civilian casualties and generated debate about the use of force, command decisions, and legal accountability. In many cases, the units involved were operating under severe time, pressure in chaotic environments. Alpha's public name recognition stems from this operational history, organization, and selection. Like Vympel, Alpha is part of the FSB's Special Purpose Center, and its size and internal organization are classified. Public accounts note strict selection, specialized CQB, close quarters battle training, and cross-training for hostage rescue and urban operations. Alpha is often described as available for direct deployment by Russia's political leadership for events where an immediate domestic security response is required. Public record versus secrecy. Though Alpha is the most publicly discussed of these 5 units because of its repeated appearances in crisis response, many operative identities, tactics, and internal lessons remain state secrets. Analysis must therefore combine official accounts, survivor testimony, leaked material, and investigative journalism to form a balanced picture. Final synthesis and concluding notes. 1. Overlap and blurred boundaries. These 5 units illustrate how Russian national security structures combine military, domestic security, and foreign intelligence capacities. In practice, responsibilities can overlap. The GRU focuses on military intelligence and clandestine sabotage abroad. The SVR concentrates on foreign intelligence and clandestine activities. The FSB runs domestic counterterrorism and Secret Service special operations. Alpha, Vympel, while military SOF, KSSO provide theater-level special operations. Open sources repeatedly note cooperation, tasking crossovers, and competition between agencies.